welcome everyone. This very exciting session for ourselves. 6 Inches of Soil. I'm producer, Colin the director, and we have three amazing protagonists, but plus others here. And we have an amazing guest in Peter Byck, who's come from the States, and we're discussing the power and the joy of Regen films and their role in this whole space. But first of all, I really want to say thank you to all of you because of this community, this film has been made. So Colin and I and a few of us came the first year, this is our fourth one, so 3 years ago, and discussed making it. And thanks to loads of people here who actually took us seriously and enabled us to make it and partnered with us. And so it's been really powerful. And we hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen and heard, not only as film, but in socials and building a community and sharing, more importantly, not just our story, but the story of the farmers and all of the farmers and other people. There are many other people in the film, in this room, so we're very, very lucky. This is very rare. The last time it happened was at ORFC when we launched on the 4th of January. So I really hope you'll have questions at the end. There's going to be a roaming mic. So the power of it all, we feel that film has played a role, and we will discuss that right now and the effect it's had not only on ourselves, but obviously the farmers who've worked with us. It's been an amazing journey for Colin and I think with Peter as well, where all of us have become very close to the people that we've worked with. And these documentaries, you're asking a lot of people. We're asking them to do it for nothing. We're asking them to trust us, and you're asking them to share their stories, which is tough. So first of all, I'm going to start with Colin, my colleague and loyal colleague as well, because he's had to put up with me for the last nearly 4 years. So Colin, I'd like to just a very simple question. Why did you personally and us as a team want to make this film?
Thanks, Claire. And it's great to be here at Groundswell. We were here 3-4 years ago, I think it was, on our first research trip. And it's wonderful to come full circle and be back here, after the film's out and people to have watched the film and be with the same people and familiar faces, new faces. So it's fantastic to be here. In terms of why I made the film, it actually came about after COVID. All good things come out of COVID with regards to films for our story. And I was volunteering on a community farm in Cambridge where I'm based, and I had the opportunity to work on a short film called From the Ground Up, which followed 5 regenerative farmers on their journey, just in Cambridgeshire, 5 arable farmers. Claire and I made that film together, and it was really inspiring being on those farms. For me, the penny drop moment was being with one of the farmers, and we did a walk in his field. He did a dig, and the worms were just falling off the spade. The soil was full of biology, full of life. You could smell the life literally in the field. And then we did a walk in his neighbour's field, so same soil type, arable system, and it came out like a giant house brick. And for me, in that moment, I saw the power of regenerative agriculture. And we featured that in the short film. And David has been a guide for us during that process as well. So that's how kind of 6 Inches started. And we said we needed to make a bigger story. There was a national story that hadn't really been told. So that was kind of the genesis of 6 Inches of Soil. And we did a lot of research. We're here at Groundswell. We read a lot of books, reached out to a lot of farmers, building those relationships, just trying to work out what was going on in this space, the complexity of it, all the different layers, all the different moving parts. And I think there's a lot of doomerism around climate change. And I think with our story, we wanted to tell a positive, inspiring story, and that change is possible, but it requires all of us to get behind it, not just farmers, but also food producers, supply chains, supermarkets, consumers, and we all have a part to play. And that's the story we really tried to tell. We got really lucky meeting these 3 individuals who are in the film and who are wonderful and give 3 different personal journeys as well, which I think is what's really resonated with audiences.
Brilliant. Thank you, Colin. So Peter, I'd love to ask you the very same question, obviously from a different perspective across in the States, but I'd love you to share your insights of why you created this very big journey you've been on for this particular project.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, you all. And for me, I was looking for solutions to climate change and found that soils had a great potential. And then I was lucky enough to run into a number of scientists who also wanted to see if soils, and specifically regenerative grazing, could be a solution to climate change, with the idea that there's a lot of other solutions that it might be helping with too. And so it started with the science team. It started with the journey of wanting to answer some questions. And then, we did a big, long hunt for farmers based on surveys and their replies and scouting. And that's how we found our farmers. And then it became, in between those two things was years of design of the research and fundraising. And so there was a lot of times where I wondered what the hell I was doing as a filmmaker, spending so much time with scientists and raising money for science. So I then I just said, I got to get back out there and make films. And so I made a bunch of short films, and that's the Soil Carbon Cowboys series. So most of those Soil Carbon Cowboys started the whole thing. So a short film started our whole big $10 million project. It was just that simple. But then when I started spending so much time with the scientists, I'm like, I have to get back out there. So I just called Alan Williams and said, I want to go on the road with you. So we got films going, and then I came over here and shot. And so it was all about trying to balance the creative and the fiduciary and all the hard work. I never would have started it if I knew how much work it was going to be. And there's a term for that. It's called the courage of total ignorance. And I was taught that by a guy who started a very large company. And I said, did you know how much work it was going to be? He goes, hell no. No. Would you have started if you knew how much work this was going to be?
Probably not.
It's daunting.
But
it's absolutely daunting. It's probably the same question for the farmers too, but that's why.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
I
And I know Colin and I and everyone, it's been long, and the fact that we've kind of remained together and Colin and I actually talk still is quite amazing. It's been many long nights for very little money, nothing. We did it obviously off a shoestring, and two amazing crowdfunders, which I know a lot of you gave to. I was a fully independent film, and that in itself is another story, and not for today. But Colin, I would love you just to share, and then we'll introduce the farmers. How did we go about deciding upon featuring 3 young new entrant farmers, and how did we choose these guys?
Yeah, as I said in the intro, we got really lucky with these with the characters here in the film. We put a casting call out just like you're recruiting for a job. So we put an ad out. We said we wanted a young farmer. We wanted 2 female farmers, 1 male farmer, under 30, in the first year of their enterprise, first year of their regenerative journey. And then we wanted 3 different systems. So we wanted arable, horticulture, and livestock. And we did a series of interviews, series of Zoom calls, and we were really lucky, to meet Anna, Adi, and Ben. And they all come from different backgrounds, as they'll tell you. And I think they will give a different angle on the story as well. People can relate to them in different ways. And that's a really important part of telling your story in the documentary space, is to find the right character, because the right character can make or break your film. If your character's not relatable, they're on a journey, they change, then it doesn't really resonate. So that's really what it's about when you're trying to find characters in this space. It's same for books, same for all types of media, really. Finding really interesting characters in this space, and also people that want to see change. I think you all want to see change, and you're really passionate, purposeful, and really authentic about that. And hopefully it comes through in the film. If you've already seen it, you'll probably feel that. So yeah.
So hopefully many of you have seen it. If you haven't, please do. But we'll share the details of that later. But for now, if you could roll the first clip, we're going to see Anna.
I can't even describe the full amount of happiness that farming in an environmentally friendly way, working with the land, it just makes sense to me. Like, I just feel like everybody should be doing it. I don't understand why everybody's not. Dad started regen farming not for him, he did it for me. Like, he did it for the future generations to come, and that was the most selfless act he could have done on this farm. And I'm now carrying on that tradition, and we're getting greener and greener every year for generations to come. Yeah, it makes me proud to say that this has happened, and this is a regen crop, and this can only become more regen in the future.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, Anna's a natural. But Anna's not the only, you don't see him, but I don't even know where Andrew is. Where is Andrew?
He's in the big top.
Oh, he's in the big top. Okay, pretend Andrew's here. Andrew's her dad. And without Andrew and Anna's chemistry in the film, it was one of the most endearing, and Peter has in his humour, which brings this to life. And we'll all concur. As a good Brits, we love a good bit of humour. So Anna is particularly good at that. But Anna, I'd love to know, a bit about why did you decide to do the film? No, first of all, why did you go back to the farm, and then why did you decide to take us up on the offer of doing the film?
Yeah, first off, Dad has buggered off in the big top. So, yeah, top Dad. Well done, Dad, if you can hear me. My brother is here, though, so top brother, which is very exciting. Yeah, I think I decided to do it. I got a message through a friend of mine and said, this woman Claire's looking for a person for TV to do something on film. And I'd always been a photographer, so always been behind the camera. So I was like, no, you're all right, thanks, I don't want to do that. And then she was like, yeah, but it's going to help the planet. And I was like, oh, crap. So then I was like, probably should do it maybe. And then, because I've always been an environmentalist, I used to run a charity. And I was like, okay. So then I did it, and actually Colin made it very bearable, so did Claire. And it was actually all right. Seeing yourself on screen, though, is disgusting. Don't recommend it. But yeah, and then we just kind of like did it. It all went really well. And the amazing thing is the feedback we've got from it. And also, like, nearly every show we've done is sold out, right? Which is incredible. And, like, amazing. This team behind the scenes who you don't see on the film have done incredible things. The hours they've put in, you know, the free hours they've put in is just amazing. So if you contributed money, it's made a big impact. And it's in New Zealand now, it's in Australia now. Like, it's just really exciting. But yeah, but I think looking back, I'm glad I did it. But I have worn sunglasses all day because I don't want people to notice me. But yeah, but I'm really glad I did do it.
And you're glad you're back on the farm with Dad? Briefly, I know that.
Yeah. It's difficult working for your parents, not gonna lie. Every day is a new day. But no, it's really good. We work together, we communicate. Luke, my brother, he helps us out as well. And I think it's just like a team effort, which is really great. But yeah, trials and tribulations with parents. But we are advancing more and more, which I think we're going to come on to later. But yeah, we've done some really exciting things since the film, which is really fun.
Cool. And so please can we play the next clip? So now.
We're removing people from the land too much. And so much of this work is about detail and empathy and working with the plants and understanding them. And also our health and well-being is driven by a connection with the land. And then on the flip side of that, this has to be viable in order to exist. I'm still not convinced that we're going to do it working with supermarkets, personally, especially at my scale, because I don't produce enough for a supermarket contract. So I need local people to support me, and in turn I'll support them.
So we're really grateful to Adie because she really opened her heart, and we spent many hours because she's quite near where we live, and so thank you, Adie, because to be so honest is truly remarkable on a camera when you've got a camera in front of your face. So it's beautiful. But Adie, more importantly, what you do on the land and where you've come since we started, because you started on bare ground in the film, if you've seen it. And so, first of all, can you explain why you went and what you're doing and took on this massive project on your own, and then why on earth you'd agree then to throw a camera crew into your face for 1 year?
That's a really good question. I don't know. So I have been trying to get into horticulture for a very long time. I think it's probably more than 10 years that I went traveling and started volunteering on organic farms and realized that people do this for a living. I didn't have a connection to it before. But I fell in love with growing veg and sharing food and the like amazing communities that kind of come together around food, especially in market gardens. So I always loved them. But I found it really hard to find a job as a grower. There's not a lot of money in our industry, and there aren't many roles available. At the time I couldn't drive either, so that didn't help. And so in order to move home and be near my family and my kind of networks, especially after lockdown where I ended up very isolated, I looked for land locally. somehow amazingly found a farmer who is a regenerative farmer. He's a doctor by training. Actually, I think he's still technically practicing. And that means that I had access to land and started a market garden, selling mostly to markets. And yeah, just took a big leap, put in some money that I got from inheritance and didn't pay myself for 2 years. And don't necessarily recommend it, but I had a lot of support. And I agreed to do the film mostly because of Claire, because she's very persuasive. I think I've heard us all at various points being like, so I had a conversation with Claire. And it's just so amazing to meet someone who is so passionate and so connected and like so willing to just like put yourself out there and meet loads of people and just be like, I want this to happen. And it was really inspiring to meet the team and kind of hear their motivations. And there aren't many people doing what I do, and I really want there to be a voice for people in horticulture. So I kind of felt like it was worthwhile putting up with a few sleepless nights pre-filming to be involved. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, lovely. Please can we play Ben? So now Ben.
Great to see, isn't it?
They look happy, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's where they're supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're excited.
Yeah.
It's because when it's absolutely horrific weather, like lots of rain, or you've got these intense heat periods, you bring them in here, and it's going to.
No, this is your drought resistance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Said it's like a spa day for them. They're having a massage and a lovely new treat.
It is.
It's up to us, I think, to provide a high quality meat, but from very happy animals.
Yeah. Not many cattle are able to smash through some woodland and
they always
do what
wanted to
they
show
want
their
do.
strength, didn't they?
Yeah.
They always like trying to test themselves.
They all look a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Or something, don't
Yeah.
they?
Obviously, there are a few extras in there. There's the Belties, who are phenomenal. There's Matt Chatfield, who's at the back there, who's amazing. And there's the wonderful Claudie, who's not here. Matt's an amazing farmer as well. If you want to follow him on the Cornwall project, you learn a lot, as we did. And the amazing Claudie, who's by your side and helping you with everything on the farm. So Ben, again to you. Obviously, you have farmed all your life, but why on earth would you take this farm on your own and doing two jobs at the same time, and then again agree to say, wow, I might share this story with a bunch of strangers? So.
Yeah, no problem. So I think originally I decided to take on Trevello Farm, which is in the film, because I have a day job. I work for Natural England and I manage a farm for them. But fortunately, being part of that, you have quite a flexible contract. So I thought I had a bit more capacity, and working for a large organisation like that, I wanted to sort of test myself in the sort of real world, I guess, where we didn't just have a load of money handed to us by DEFRA to operate that farm. No, we had to make this work. So I wanted to test myself, and the opportunity came up to take on Trevello, and it just worked really well for Claudia and I. You know, we could sort of our situation and how we had to make it work by being super low input, keeping the cows outside all year round, and therefore then working with nature, really suited the farm owner's goals as well. So it sort of ticked a load of boxes, and it just really came together really nicely for us to make it work. And we haven't looked back since either. And it's great to be able to have Trevello on the side that we can run and really enjoy as well. So that's it's been really fun so far. And I think when we had the first initial conversations with one of the landlords, Simon,
he said, he made it's kind of like a throwaway comment. He said, oh, by the way, if you take this on and we do all this regen stuff, then there's some guys I know and they're making a film and they might be quite interested to follow you. And I was like, okay, that's a bit mad, but we'll just forget about that for now and focus on trying to, take on this farm and start up doing that. But fast forward a couple more months, I think we'd only been there 3 or 4 months, and Claire rang me. And when like Adi said, really, Claire rang. And we had this most amazing conversation at work, I remember. I was sat in the Land Rover, sort of didn't really do anything for about an hour and a half, and we just chatted like all things regen farming. And I just couldn't believe how clued up she was on who was doing really great things and the great things that were happening, I guess, in the industry. And it was all the sort of same things that I was following and really excited by and motivated by. And Claire was on the exact same page as me. And I thought we got on really well, clicked straight away. And I thought, wow, really cool to work with her and the team. And I thought, really, opportunities like this don't really come along very often in your life. So couldn't really say no. And we really wanted to be part of it for that as well. I guess the other reason as well was I really, one of my passions is cows, you probably saw, but the other is grassland management. And I think that there's so much possibility, isn't there, opportunity in improving our grassland management to solve loads of problems and create the best food in the world. And hopefully the film helped to show that as well. So.
Well cued, because now we will have the man with some deep knowledge and deep research. So, Peter, we're going to play your clip first, are we?
Let me set it up.
Or do you want to do a little setup?
Yeah. So I didn't know you could call people to see if they could be in your film. So that's news to me. I just show up. And that's exactly what happened here. You're going to see my first conversation with with Margot. And I had met her husband and filmed him the day before. And we'll watch it, and then I've got something to say about that, yeah.
Do y'all have anything to do with, like, climate change?
Yeah. I am concerned about climate change. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm here right now.
It seems to me that the climate has constantly been changing ever since the world was created.
Yep.
And so I don't know why people are so worried about climate change. We've had how many ice ages that we know of. That's a natural thing for the climate to change,
I have suspect about climate change.
Well, let's talk about that.
If you're a denier, you're demonized, and there's a lot of scientists that disagree with it. So it's not it's something that needs to be debated.
Mm-hmm. I don't get into an argument about climate change with folks who aren't believing it, or I just say, hey, listen, I'm looking at solutions that I think are going to be good for everybody.
Part of it is that so many people immediately, the first thing they do is throw the blame. Yep. The first thing out there is it's your fault. So many, what is the natural thing to do is to back off, to get defensive, to fight,
That's human nature. We learned that if you don't call someone an idiot because they disagree with you, that they're apt to listen to you a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Right?
I would agree with that.
For me, I think that the soils offer a huge solution to an enormous amount of problems that we've created.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you think about climate change, because what you're doing right now is going to be so much more powerful than most people that it doesn't matter.
Thank you. So,
stunning.
Oh, thanks. I'd been dealing with that climate change debate and things for about a decade before that scene was shot. So I kind of knew how to just stay out of a fight, because fighting about climate change is falling into the trap that's all fake anyway. So that's why I don't fall into it. What was really funny, or stressful actually, so this was a science project. That's what it was first. Our funders gave us money for science. They knew the film was going to be made. Some of the funders were happy the film was going to be made. But it was science, so we got the science teams going, and I still didn't have their approval to do the science or to be filmed. And they just never said no. And then we had to earn their trust. It was that kind of deal. And so that's earning trust right there. And Prentice, the older gentleman with his wife, Margot, well, they're both with their wives. Prentice and Margot were the first folks you heard from. They're the conventional farmers. I was really worried that he would not even want to be in the film. And then I was really worried that his wife wouldn't want to be in the film. I was really worried his son wouldn't want to be in the film. So every time I'm filming them the first time, it's in the movie. And I'm doing my tap dance, like, hey, you want to be in the film? So my conversations with them were actually on camera. And what happened with both Prentice and Cooper, the other farmer on the other side, was it got to be that if I was on their land within 10 minutes, they'd be rolling into the shot. Like, they wanted to be filmed. So for the next 3 years I'm on their farm, I'd be there for 10 minutes. I wouldn't tell them I was coming or whatever. And there would be Prentice rolling in on his four-wheeler. Hey, Peter, how's it? And there'd be Cooper coming in. They loved being filmed. And I had no idea that was going to be the case. So we became friends. Yeah.
And I'd say that's big. And Colin, I'd just like to, hear from you, how the journey's been for you, and the trust and the friendship building, and also when it came to edit, how we navigated the nuances of the subject. So just giving your overview as a director of how you, because it's a complex subject, isn't it? And how you want to do justice to it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of building trust, they're all so likable that was a really easy job. And what you're doing, you've made just another thank you to you all for inviting us into your lives and being on camera. I know that's not easy, but I think, it was really easy working with you in terms of that trust building. I think we kind of hit it off and invited us into our homes. We ate together. We broke bread together. We drank together. Building up that trust is really important. And then the family dynamic as well. So Ben, your partner's in the film. Adi, I think there's one shot with your boyfriend in the film, but he wasn't like a major role. And then obviously you're around it, your dad's in the film. So those familial aspects are really important as well. And part of the wider narrative of farming in terms of intergenerational farming, it's really important. And in terms of the complexity, it's a really complicated subject, right? So we don't pretend to have all the answers. We wanted to just be really honest and transparent about the possibilities of Regen. We wanted to tell a human interest story. We did a lot of research, a lot of reading. Coming to Groundswell in 2021, the T-Towel, the 5 principles, was really useful to get your head around what regenerative agriculture was. So we borrowed from that. We borrowed from Gabe Brown's books, and pulling all this literature together and just building up a picture. The audience conversations then, well, who's this film for? Is it for farmers? Is it for consumers? And we have to kind of find a middle ground and deliver something for people that everyone can understand to a non-technical audience. So lots of lengthy conversations about what to keep in. We shot about 100 hours of footage, and what you see in the film is 96 minutes. So there's an incredible amount of other material there that can be used as well. And we have experts that we interviewed that aren't in the film, so there's that material as well. And you have to kind of make tough decisions about what to keep in, what to keep out. And I think something as complex as farming, no one's going to listen to you if you throw the book at them in terms of the science books. You have to find that human interest story. And I think we deliver that in the film through these 3 wonderful people here as well.
And would you say that if anyone here wants to tell their story from their farm or their food business, that's probably a key nugget from both you and Peter? What would be one little piece of advice you'd give? So if someone here wants to start telling their story, with which we keep hearing people say, connect. I mean, and we can ask these 3 as well, but I'd just love to know as directors, what would be the one key thing you'd give advice on giving your messages or telling your story to the...
You mean for the farmers telling their story, or if a filmmaker wants to tell...
And food producers,
I mean, most of the farmers I know couldn't care less about trying to tell their story. They want to farm. So it's kind of cool when someone shows up and says, I want to tell your story, right? Obviously, social media is a really cool way of telling stories. Kelsey Keener, who's the son in our Tennessee story on the adaptive side, he's really good at social media. They've got a place called Sequatchie Cove. Sequatchie, spelled just like it sounds. Or maybe it's not. Sequatchie. And so he's always out there showing what he's producing, showing the hard days. I think just talking about how it's not easy is a really important thing, because it's not. I've never met a farmer who said it was easy. I have met many farmers who say this form of grazing is easy to move the animals, but the idea of the whole system, it's work. It's just that the farmers love being outside. They don't want to be in an office if they can afford it. So I would just say, for the farmer who wants to tell their story, look what Kelsey's doing. He's doing amazing stuff, telling his own story. Yeah.
I think just to add to that, I think the provenance bit is really important. So especially if you've got a farming business where you can connect with the consumer, that's a really powerful narrative to put in a package for people, whether it's literally on the packet or whether you're doing it through social media or through the website or through video. That food provenance is really important. And consumers and the generations that are coming up now, younger generations, people want to know where their food comes from and how it's produced. They really do care. And polling shows that as well. So that food provenance story is really important. Farmers have to get better at telling that food provenance story. If it's like a commodity farmer, that's obviously a lot harder, with wheat and things, because it gets all mixed together essentially and lost. So I think it's about the nature story then, what's happening on the farm in terms of biodiversity, soil, restoration, all that wonderful stuff. And when you hear talks here at Groundswell, you hear some farmers, they are deeply connected to that natural story part, and they cry, they describe crying and have emotional meltdowns when they see a bird appear that they haven't seen on the farm before. These stories are incredible. We need more of them, and connecting up that nature bit with farming, because the two in the past have been separate. So that's the theme that we're trying to do, connecting farming with nature, and that's what regenerative agriculture is all about.
We're gonna open up in a minute, but I'd like the three farmers to, because everyone asked us. So we've done, I think Peter's done it as well, but we've done a massive roadshow, and I'd like to massive thank you to two people here. So Mel, who's led on our impact and distribution, our impact manager, absolutely phenomenal, and literally. Colin and I can, people were saying, can we show it on our farm? So writing this long list of terrible spreadsheet, and Mel was like, the spreadsheet, oh my God. So she pulled it all together, has made it happen. It's unbelievable. It's still rolling out, and huge thanks. And then Matt beside her, who's just blown our heads off. We've just got a deal with New Zealand and Australia. Endless stuff's happening. We went into Picture House. So these guys have made it happen for us. But I would love to know from you guys, you've been on these panels, you've been to all these shows, you've discussed, you've shared your stories. I'd like to know where you are now, because that's what everyone asks us, where you are now, and would you do another film again? Or tell your story again in another short version of
I'd have to be really strongly persuaded to do another film again. I think there'd have to be a very big incentive. Not financial. Chocolate is fine, but I don't know if I could do another film. I wrote it down because I don't want to miss anything. But for the farmers out there, or anyone who's interested in arable side of things, we are now doing boats this year, beans and oats in one field. Dad was not a fan. He's still not a fan. However, they look beautiful with no inputs, so that's very exciting. And he's not here, so haha. Yeah. Haha, Dad. We're using foliar nitrogen for the first time. We set up a foliar nitrogen shed. Dad went a bit overboard, spent a bit too much. We're freaking out slightly, but we're hopefully going to make it back. So that's a bit scary, but fine. And then we've used less nitrogen overall, so we're down to 130 now. And so far, so good. Touch wood. And then we've rolled out fencing around the whole farm. Again, Dad was not keen, but I made it happen. And that way we can get sheep on and off so easy. So we're renting sheep. We're not renting sheep, but we have a free sheep arrangement with a farmer at one part of our farm. He brings his sheep on, fattens them, but we get free grazing. But we do a free trade, and the rule is that he can come off whenever we're ready. So that way we can just get him off straight away if the crops are at a certain growth level. So that's perfect. And then on our side, I've got my wonderful flock, and they're grazing, because our farm's split into two. They're grazing this side of the farm, and yes, Timmy is still alive for anyone who's watched the film, and yes, he's wonderful. He's a big, fat, castrated lamb living his best life. And then we've started using a biological fungicide on the whole farm, so we're trying to reduce chemicals, but it's very difficult, as some of you may know, and it's very, very scary to reduce chemicals in Awana. And then our next step going forward is trees, which I think most people... The buzzword around here, this Groundswell, seems to be agroecology, which is very exciting. So we're going to put trees in, and the idea is, because we've got the Pink Pig farm, we've got a farm park restaurant on the farm, we're going to do like a pick your own kind of thing. I haven't told the family about this yet. This is the first time Luke's hearing it, so yay. But we're going to do that. And then pick your own, because I can't be bothered to harvest them, because a lot. Like, we're going to plant a fair few trees, and I'm not doing that. So, yeah, so we're going to get people in, pick your own, pay to pick your own, and then kind of like pick your own strawberries, and you can leave with a load of fruit. That's my plan. And then, Adie's got another idea for me for that. Great. And then hoeing and crimping. The word hoeing, so gross. But yeah, we're going to hoe, inter-row hoe, basically, and then we're going to start crimping, but stop laughing at me, not with a frost crimper, but with a crimper that they use in America, I believe, where you can crimp it really quickly with 2 dual barrel rollers next to each other, and it kills the crop off without frost. So that's our plan. We're going to try that. How much of it I'll be able to get away with, I don't know. I might have to do quite a lot of it in secret at night so Dad doesn't find out. But yeah, it's very exciting and it's all moving. My doggy daycare, which I applied for, did get rejected by the council. Boo the council. But however, we're still moving. So I'm still got 2 jobs. I'm still working on the farm most of my time. And then I've got a part-time job on the side, which is marketing because of my previous background in photography. So hoping to go full-time on the farm, but I just need to find another financial input. And that is a bit tricky because the council doesn't like new businesses, apparently. Not that I'm bitter. So yeah, that is everything I think from me. Oh, and Luna is still lovely and great. And she can now actually move some sheep.
So, Adrienne, I'm not sure I'd like to follow that, Liz. So I really don't even know how you're operating, and this is hats off to all of you who do these multifaceted, crazy jobs to produce food for us all. So, Adie, I'd love to, and also maybe a bit of an insight if the film has helped bring anyone new or discussions or opened anything in your mind. So, with your business.
Yes, so I'm going into my 3rd season. The market garden is still happening. So last year, I had a pretty strange opportunity, which was to sell, I call them veg bags because they're in a bag, to a local business. So they buy the bags for their staff, which I think is a really great thing to do. As a business, it's a perk for the staff. They're not paying for it, but it's not a huge expense for the business, and it's really great community building within the business. It's like a reason for people to come to work. They all get to talk about recipes and ideas, and that's been really good. And they told me in June that they wanted to do it, so I had to start buying things in. So it's kind of slightly transformed the business because I am buying some things in order to supply these veg bags. But that's meant that I have a known income every week. That means that I can get staff. So last year I had 1 person 3 days a week. This year I have 3 people spread over 5 days a week. And I have given up working at the cafe so I can pay myself a minimal wage. So yeah, that's very exciting. Still very much doing it the same way. It's all with hand tools at the moment. And there's lots of kind of capital investment that I could really do with to make it more viable. Which is one of the things that the Land Workers Alliance is asking of the new government. We have a long way to go to support horticulture in this country, we could really do with some help with that. So shout out to the Land Workers Alliance and who are kind of doing a lot to work in that space.
And you share it a lot as well, which is another powerful kind of offshoot.
So in terms of the documentary, I'll have customers who come to the market who've seen the documentary, which is really cool, and also people who come to my community days who want to be involved, and that's really, really lovely. Sometimes customers turn up and they want to have a chat and I'm trying to sell things and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to sell some vegetables here. But in general. Oh no. Yeah. The Cambridge market didn't work out for me. But yeah, I've got some other great local markets and things, and it's going well.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Ben, finally, not finally at all, but if you could just share where you are, your visions for the future, any sort of thoughts?
Okay. So I guess we've just, since the film's ended, we've got through a very, very wet winter where we've been out wintering our cattle. So it's kind of kept us on our toes really over the last winter. I think in February, March and April, we had about 750 mil of rain. So it really stressed what we were doing. But it's really good. We got through it. And I think that if we can get through these extremes and weathers that we're having now, then this sort of this grazing system that we're employing at Trevello will work and can be rolled out, like further across the industry. So really quite confident in how it's working at the moment. Demand for beef has been brilliant. I think being on the film has really helped. So we supplied 2 online butchers, Piper's Farm and Farm Wilder, who are both really good. They're very aligned with how we work, I guess, and they sort of add the value onto what we do. So they're keen for everything we can produce. And then also we get quite a lot of emails, which is really nice, saying, we've seen the film, we love what you do, can we order some beef? So we've got a growing waiting list now, which is hard to keep track of, but it's good. So yeah, I haven't got a list like Anna's because it's a bit more simple, but so we got through the winter, and it's sort of just refining the system now really. The overwintering thing is key, the bale grazing part of it. The summer's easy, loads of grass, and it's not a problem all summer, no stresses, so it's lovely. We're in a lovely time of year at the moment. But another thing that has kept Claudia and I really busy was 4 months ago today our son was born, so yeah. Thank you. It's kept us quite busy, as probably a lot of you will know. So he's loads of fun and kind of makes the whole system and how we operate, is really special, but you can kind of appreciate that a lot more now. And especially as he grows up as well, and they can hopefully enjoy that. So that's something that's really motivating us at the moment, I think. So it's really exciting.
Drives you to be even greener and better. Thank you very, very much, everyone. I'm going to now open the floor. So please ask any of us any questions of farmers, but Peter obviously travelled from afar, and Colin's perspective, and these guys as well. Anything you want to know, please ask now. We've got a little bit of time to do that. So over there.
Much. I saw the film last week up near Aviemore. I really loved it. I wanted to ask you. Sorry. I wanted to ask you about markets, because I kept thinking with your market garden, the market was really important. I live near Hay-on-Wye, and there's a fantastic Thursday morning market. Around here, it's pretty rubbish, and I was thinking about Cambridge Market and the lack of parking close by that makes carrying your vegetables really heavy. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you whether you think councils can help you.
Can councils help with market?
For people carrying their vegetables?
So actually what they're doing in Cambridge is the district council now has a specific job role, which is for someone to set up local markets. So actually I think there's a team of them. They support communities, villages to start farmers markets. Most of them are monthly, but now those are the markets that I do. I don't do any. The one in Cambridge City, as you said, is like really inconvenient for people to get to. It's really inconvenient for traders as well because there's no parking. So most of the traders drive and park outside the city and walk in half an hour in order to trade, or they have a team. But so there are things that councils can do definitely to make it easier. I think markets is a really odd one just in general because we don't We don't have much of a culture of markets in this country. But we've set up one in my local village, which is we've done 2 now, and they've been really successful. And there's a couple of other ones, and I love them. I think they're such a nice, like the connections that I've made with other businesses and the relationships that I have just been amazing, and the building community within a market is really lovely. So I think the more we can have, the better. Yeah.
Hello, Annalisa Winther. Nice to meet you, and thank you for telling these stories at scale. We know that it's so important. I am the co-project lead of Top 50 Farmers, which has just raised about €1 million to tell the stories of 50 regenerative farmers across all of Europe. It is much more like World's 50 Best in terms of finding role models that we can then showcase and uplift for the next generation, but also to show new business models and what's happening in this space and really the role that farmers play in the heart of society. I'd love to hear you all talk a little bit more about the benefit of giving farmers a large platform and a voice. As you mentioned, these films are going global. There's a lot of eyeballs. You're starting to feel the momentum, but I'm just curious because a lot of farmers are also shy and getting more and more of them to actually share. How do we do that? How do we get these voices uplifted?
Start point.
So for farmers that are new to that process, it's training, it's learning to be in front of the camera, just like politicians have media training, scientists have media training. So I think training is a good part. Social media, as Peter was talking about, it plays a huge part as well. You've just got to dive in and try it out, whether it's TikTok, whatever platform, YouTube. Find a channel that works for you. Find an audience. People are really forgiving as well. Like if you're genuine about what you do, I think when you started out, you talked about that as well. Your first TikTok, no one wants to watch the first TikTok again, do they? Because you're just trying out. But it's just about experimentation. The barrier to entry now with social media is really low, so that's a good place to start. Training. But also from a thematic point of view, I think, retail and large corporations have controlled the narrative for so long, even to the point they make up fake farms, right, for brands. So it's about farmers taking back a bit of that control in terms of the storytelling. And I think that's a really positive thing. Films play a part, books play a part, all the different forms of other media play a part. So I think it's a fantastic time to be in that space. And I think, if we can help you in any way, let us know.
I think, and Peter, if you could just share, because obviously the poignant thing of Peter's is that having that, I hate the word conventional, but 2 different types of farming practices right next to each other, and how you encourage them to, you gave them that voice, sorry, inadvertently.
You mean to speak amongst themselves?
Or to the world.
They weren't speaking to the world. They had no idea.
But how would you encourage them, having learned that, having done that sort of hard graft?
I mean, some of the farmers in our film are just great speakers, and they've been doing it for a while. Wallace, who's in episode 1, who I showed a bunch of clips of this morning, he wouldn't even film something on his phone the other day that I asked him to film because it was really cool what happened. He's like, I said, would you film that? He's like, nope. He's got absolutely no interest. For every farmer to have to become a marketer and a distributor and all those things, it's a lot. Each one of those is a job, and we just applauded the fact that you just decided you're going to pay yourself, right? I mean, think about that. Did you get applause when you decided to take a job that has salary? No. And so, but it's a lot. And so there are farmers who are naturally good at it, and there's farmers who wouldn't want to do it at all. And so for us, to date, the social media has been fairly decent for our farmers when we put up clips from the films, but a couple of them have been downright rude. And so my wife is incredibly protective of Margot, who's the lady who asked me about climate change. So if anyone says anything about Margot, man, they're down. They're done. We've cut them out. And then we're giving the farmers a chance to rebut. We're going and filming them and saying, hey, what did you think of that guy saying, oh, you're an Alabama school teacher and your wife's a school teacher, so you guys are rolling in the money, and which is just impossible. But that's what people said. Yeah. Oh, you both have, so we give them the opportunity to rebut too, which is fun. That's fun.
It's quite interesting. Do any of you just want to have anything to reply to that? Because you are farmers and you tell your stories the whole time, not just with us, but would you give any? Was there anything else you want to add, or you don't have to?
I think that's a really interesting point, and I think I really want to be a grower, and I really want to grow things, and actually we are being asked to do a lot of other things to make these businesses work. And there's a real shortage of people who are doing the connecting job, who are connecting farmers to the public. And that's a space that if people had that capacity, then that would take a lot off the plate of farmers. So that would be great.
I mean, there's lots of NGOs out there, the Soil Association, others doing case studies and things like that. So
I guess I mean actually markets,
Oh, you
access
mean,
to markets,
right? Oh, okay.
That we could just feed into.
I was just going to say, nearly forgotten it. Yeah, it's really hard trying to do everything. And I heard at one talk one day, they were talking about what should we be sort of prioritizing as farmers. And at the end of the day, we need to feed our families, pay our bills. So we need to make a profit. And our job's kind of not to feed the world, it's for the governments to sort that out and work that out. And it's kind of the same with getting the message out there. It's really hard for us to do it. I mean, we can be a part, but I think it's where these guys really come in and need the support, and then yourself perhaps, and the other NGOs. It's we really need their help to get out, but it's got to be our voices as well. So that's what I was going to add.
Well, that makes us feel better that we've done the role. Do you want to have one more question, I think, and then we probably have to go to the next. Have we got one? Did you? Yeah. Just sorry.
Hello there. I did farmers markets in the Thames Valley in London from 2001 till I came at London one in 2017. I think the trouble is I'd warn you against monthly ones, especially if you're selling seasonal produce. You're doing a weekly market, you know what you sold last week, you've got a fair good idea what you're going to sell next week. When it's a month apart, and the other problem is people forget. If they forget you want a monthly one, a weekly one, I'll turn up next week. But it's very difficult to predict. I personally don't think monthly ones are the way forward. The London ones were very good until they sort of just started letting too much competition in. And of course, you're selling against one or two people who aren't genuine, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I don't really have access to weekly markets. So that's because of that competition thing. There are growers in the markets, but there's not room. But that's partly because the markets are struggling so much. A lot of the local growers in Cambridge go to London to do the markets in London.
I know.
So yeah.
Anyway, communication.
We used to go to Brigg Farmers Market, which is a local farmers market, and we did it for 20 years, every month, without fail. And we used to be pig farmers. Growing up as a kid, we had pigs, and we've just stopped it. So we did up north, I think it's very different to down south, very different. We're almost going backwards a little bit. In the posh areas, the farm shops are surviving. Again, we had a farm shop for 10 years. We had to close it because nobody wanted to buy produce, and they haven't got as much money where we are. We're outside of Scunthorpe, But I think we also stopped doing a farmer's market, which was so sad because it was so lovely, but we were just losing money on it. So I think people need to open their eyes a little bit, especially if you live down south, because there's a lot more going on up north that's not being talked about with farmers markets, which should be the opposite. We should be like Cambridge, opening up more markets, and if anything, ours are stopping, which is mental.
So I think, how are we doing for time? Can we do one? Time's up. Okay, sorry. Well, we are going to have a moment where you can all ask lots of questions because, two things. First of all, we've got a book signing. So amazing guy, Jeremy Toynbee, who's at the back, came to us halfway through the filmmaking and offered to make a book. And obviously all our team were up to capacity, but he did it. He went ahead and two or three others of our team basically made it happen. It's over there. Everyone in the film is featured in it, plus extras, and it really, really supports it. It's the most phenomenal thing. But the very special experience that doesn't normally happen is these guys will be here to sign it, and there are drinks. So there's drinks books, signing, go. But then the final is, as of Friday, you can go online and see our film. So tell everyone it's in your bags, this flyer. It's got the book on one side and that. So you can watch it at home or wherever you are in the UK. So we're finally going online. But please, obviously, you can still do it in person. But this is very exciting. We wanted to announce it here. This is the birthplace of our film, but obviously we were also capturing this wonderful warm audience today and had these amazing farmers with us. So please watch it at home. Please share it. Please enjoy it. And thank you to everyone who made this film happen, because all of you are part of our community. So thank you. Thank you again to these guys.